Growing up during the Depression, your family had to be careful about how much they spent. Do you feel that this has helped you become thrifty in our current recession?
I think so. You know, we've always, I think, managed our money well, and I think my parents taught me that, and a lot of that came from not having a lot of money during the Depression, and even afterwards. My father never made a big salary, and we, you know, we lived a good life, but we didn't have money just to spend on things that we really didn't need.
Yeah, we didn't spend a lot of money because we didn't have a lot of money. It just was accepted that you bought the basics and you didn't buy anything you couldn't afford or that didn't fit in with what your needs were right then.
Okay. Since you guys met at Bowling Green College, what was it like to attend college during the 1950s, especially with the civil rights movement happening at the same time?
We weren't affected by the civil rights movement in our college that I remember. We just, you know, had our friends attend class, and that was it. How about you?
I started college in 1949, September of 1949. You know, that's only 4 years after the end of the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of veterans who had been in World War II, discharged and went to school, got their college degree through the GI Bill. So we had a lot of veterans there. As I say, I grew up in a very, very small country town. Never knew anybody of other color. And there were not too many blacks at Bowling Green State University back then. It's a small university with a total enrollment of 2,700 people. Now it's like 40 to 50,000. Okay, but yeah, that was my first experience was running and, you know, having contact with blacks, except in the service, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We had one black boy in our high school class, and he was junior president. He was well accepted. There was never any suggestion of animosity toward their family.
Do you feel that was because you guys were more in the northern states than the southern states?
Definitely.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think
no doubt
definitely,
about that.
yeah.
Okay. What was your initial thought when you were drafted?
Well, you know, I really didn't want to go, you know, but I knew I had to serve. I was drafted. I had a student deferment, college deferment while I was in college, and then I met your grandmother at college, and we dated for a couple of years, got engaged, and got married as soon as I graduated in February of 1954. But I knew that once I graduated from college, I would no longer have a deferment from the draft. So I knew that I would be drafted eventually. It was tough for me to find a job because everybody knew that my draft status was changing from a student deferment to Class 1A, which meant that I would be subject to the draft. But I did find a job, and for me it was a good job, gave me some good experience, and I stayed there for 6 months before I was drafted.
Did being drafted influence your decision to marry or your timeline for marriage?
No, we were very much in love, and you know we had been engaged for what, 6 months to a year. About a year.
Yeah, we got married right out of high school, college.
Out of college, yeah. Well, no, we were ready to get married. Mm-hmm.
Grandma, what were your thoughts? What was it like to be left behind when Grandpa was shipped overseas?
Well, of course, I wasn't very happy about that. But I
Did
knew
you miss me?
Yeah. But I knew I didn't have any control,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that if possible, after he got through basic training, I might be able to join him, and I was.
So you were required to attend boot camp.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the Army, it's called basic
Basic training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was it like, and what did you find the most challenging?
It was all very challenging physically, okay. Physically, it was very, very challenging. Typical Army, Marines, Navy, basic training. You know, you learn to take orders and not question what the orders are, but you try to fulfill what the orders are. I think that and the physical training and being away from my new life, all of that was very difficult. Most of us didn't like being there, okay? We were drafted, we didn't volunteer, and most of us didn't like being there. We couldn't wait. Most of us had the days counted down to when our enlistment would be over.
So during your time of service, do you feel that you formed any strong brotherhood bonds with your unit, or within your unit?
Yeah, we did. In fact, I still keep in touch with one individual that I went through basic training with, clerical training, and we both served on the same post in Germany. And he lives in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, which is where he grew up. And we still keep in touch, not on a regular basis, but he's been down here to visit. We've never been up to visit him, but we've kept in touch, yeah.
What were your concerns and worries when you were drafted or sent overseas for both of you guys?
Well, she had not graduated from college when I was drafted, so she went back to school to finish up and get her degree. We just missed each other a lot, and I wrote her, I think, every night when we first got to Germany. I wrote her every night. She wrote me practically every day, so we kept in close contact that way. But yeah, that was probably the hardest thing, was to leave my new life. Yeah.
Well, of course, I was dismayed, but I knew it was going to happen. But like you said, I went back to college, and I carried a big load. I graduated in 3.5 years, and I also worked because I wanted to go join him, and it takes money.
Yeah.
And so I clerked at Kroger's.
So what was it like to live on a base in Germany?
Well, I actually had a really good situation because when I went overseas, I was assigned as a company clerk to a company, to a unit. It was the 505th Medical Holding Detachment. So I didn't have to stand any formations. I had a private room in the barracks because the company clerk is the individual that works most closely with the first sergeant, who works directly under the company commander. So you get some privileges. So I never had to serve on KB. I never had to get up for morning formations. Didn't do any extra duty. So from that standpoint, I had like an 8 to 5 job.
Wow.
Wow.
When did you go to Germany to meet up with him?
In June of
55.
55.
No, yeah, June of 55.
Okay.
Did you initially stay on the base?
No, we weren't fortunate enough to do that. He was good enough to find an apartment for us. And the first one was pretty bad. You could see the light around the window frames, and I said, we got to do something better for winter coming on. That's going to be really cold. So he did, with the help of his German friend, Hank Stecker, and because he spoke German. And of course, everybody spoke German but me.
There must have been a language barrier, obviously. So a language barrier, because you didn't speak German. What was that like?
Well, it wasn't really necessary for me to speak much German. And when we had a need for an interpreter, we used our friend. And so, but then I got a job at the Ramstein Air Force Base as a typist. for the NCO club. And that was interesting because back then they didn't have computers.
Yeah.
And I was typing financial figures, and there was 5 copies. And if you made a mistake, you had to go back through all 5 copies and correct it or start over. So I wasn't a very fast typist. But the people in the little office, there were I think 5 of them, and they were all German, but they spoke English.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting enough, one of the men there was actually a German prisoner in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I know about his situation. But he was quite good, and they were very friendly. And then I got pregnant, and I had to resign then to have the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sarah, I just add a little bit to that, if I may.
Yeah.
We rented the second floor of a house which was owned by a German couple who lived in a house next door to us.
Mm-hmm.
He worked at the post office in the little village where we lived, and neither one of them spoke much English. Okay, a little but not much, and we spoke not too much German, so it was difficult at times trying to communicate with them.
Growing up in a rural setting during the Great Depression, do you feel that this has helped prepare you for the challenges of raising a child during the war?
Wow, I hope so. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was born in 1931, so that was, close to the tail end of the Depression. But yeah, we lived in a very small town, surrounded by farmland and farms, and we just learned that we had to work hard, and we didn't have a lot of money. We had to work hard. We raised a lot of our own vegetables, and that taught us, I think, to be self-reliant and to be strong, and know that if you worked hard, you could make something out of life.
So raising a small child during Grandpa's deployment must have been challenging, especially without today's modern diapers and washing machines.
Yes.
Oh, that was very interesting, yes. I had to wash all the diapers by hand, and the nurse, we had a little nurse's course, the pregnant women, said be sure and rinse your diapers 5 times to get all the soap out of them. So I did that, and then I had the happy job of going downstairs, because we were on a second floor, and hanging them on the line. Or, if it's cold and rainy or something, I could go up to the attic and hang them. And it was interesting. And yeah.
So do you have any advice on future parents that have the luxury that you guys didn't necessarily have?
They don't know how they got it made. We did not have disposable diapers. There was actually one kind of disposable diaper available, and I used that on the trip back to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we wouldn't have a washing machine. But our first baby, Greg, was allergic to it, so that was good that it was only a few days. One of the things I enjoyed in the village, we were able to, I'm not sure how we got that buggy. You remember?
No, I don't either. Somebody must have loaned it to us.
Yeah,
Maybe
somebody loaned it to us.
I think maybe somebody was going back stateside.
Uh-huh.
Gave it to us before they left. Or I don't remember that. Yeah.
So we could take a walk with Greg, and the people in the town walked up behind in the hills, and they had paths all over, and a lot of people did walking, and it was just interesting to see the population out walking up in the hills.
We considered ourselves pretty lucky. We had 3 rooms. We had a kitchen, we had a little living room, and we had a bedroom. We had friends, okay, that were the same rank I was, that lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, very, very, very small, and had a child. So we had a lot more space than most people did. So we were, from that standpoint, we were very fortunate. But, you know, it's just something in life you just have to learn to adjust to, you know?
Mhm.
It was an adventure, okay?
Yeah, and you know, I think we approached it from that angle, that it was an adventure
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and something we would never be able to do if we were back home.
Do you think for young people, if we have a chance to go out and see the world, that we should take it?
Absolutely,
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely, okay. See,
Yeah.
Grandma and I have been so fortunate in the traveling that we've done with our, you know, with motorhomes, you know. A lot of people don't get to do that or don't take the opportunity to do that, you know. And we feel really blessed that we were able to do as much traveling as we've done over the years. We've seen a lot of country, a lot of the United States and Canada. So, but we never got back to Europe.
While being stationed and living in Germany, did you have any fears or concerns of resentment from the Germans?
Not really. You know, I'm sure there are some people that weren't appreciative of the fact that the Army was still there, but no, I never sensed any resentment. Really, not at all, no.
If you had any advice for today's teenager, what would it be?
Do what your heart tells you you should do. Okay? Yeah, everybody wants to make as much money as they can make in their occupation, but you have to really love what your occupation is going to be, and just let your heart lead you the way.
And if you have an opportunity, as I noticed, there is student tours and so on, to go overseas, and even if it's Germany or Japan or some other country, it's a good experience. You know?
Do you have any life lessons that you have learned that you would like future generations to know about?
Go ahead, dear.
That's-
You can answer that one.
That's a big one. Life lessons. Well, it's good to experience new things, and I think you need to always be kind to other people. You don't have to be a pushover if they want you to do something, but you shouldn't be cruel, play cruel tricks, which I know you wouldn't. And to take advantage of any opportunities that come by,
Mm-hmm.
like a trip someplace, or do college overseas for 6 months or something, which sometimes this happens, you can.
I guess the only advice I would have would be, you know, just work hard, study hard, and when you get your degree, work hard in your job, enjoy your time off, travel as much as you can, because that broadens your horizons. But just know that anyone can be something, that can be anything they really want to be if they really desire it. That's all. Just love each other. Okay?
Right.